Tea, Earl Grey, hot. I guess if I want to be a captain, I should learn to drink tea like a captain. Here I am, on the day that we departed, but that's getting ahead of ourselves, so let's start with the day before, the day after the boat show, in the marina.
Here we are in the beautiful marina. Just have to give mad props to whatever carpenter they hired to build this, because the craftsmanship is absolutely impeccable. And I don't think anybody's ever shown a video of just what's going on a pier, but this is just sick, amazing. All the work that they did on this. These beautiful townhouses that overlook the marina itself. Just look at this. It's just absolutely stunning how they... I don't know, I guess if you build enough decks, then you start to appreciate these little things. Just, the work is outrageous. I don't even think the camera can capture. I mean, look at this. That's just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Just how beautiful is all of this. Here we are in Annapolis. We are one day away from setting sail to the Bahamas. And just absolutely loving the boatyard that we're in right now.
After the Annapolis boat show, we spent several days in this beautiful marina, and we spent that time provisioning the boat and preparing it for the crossing to the Bahamas. I also discovered the answer to an age-old question. It is metric shit tons. Anyway, we spent some time goofing off in the yard, and then we had to go shopping quite a bit. Of course, that meant multiple trips to West Marine, looking for toggles and latches, and in one case a spreader bar. I, of course, decided to go shopping for my super most favoritist thing in the world, life vests. Why? Well, because I don't personally own one, and I always have to borrow one. And I think I know what I want, but I have to do more research. Then we were off to the Halloween store. This was an amazing trip for us because I wanted to surprise Sarah, who is Tomas's wife, with some amazing decorations for the Exquisite Yacht Center. Sarah is a huge fan of Halloween, and, well, the Bahamas really doesn't have a lot of Halloween stores. Oh, right, tea, Earl Grey, hot. I grew up the son of a military officer, and we lived overseas my entire life until I went to college, so the following sounds are what I woke up to every single day until I was 18. Annapolis came through on getting to see all kinds of naval vessels and equipment. For example, this, which I know what it is, but I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to talk about it. And this thing, I'll give you a clue. What's long and hard and full of semen? Oh, you cheeky monkey. It's a submarine. We also got to see a couple of these on the way out, but that's for another episode. If you're going to be sailing, there's nothing more important than understanding the weather, primarily the wind and the waves. And here we are actually underway, but that was checked, of course, before we left. If you're not familiar with the X5, all the lines come back to one point here at the helm and then go into a rope locker at your feet. But in reality, some of those lines are quite long, and we hang them here off of this handrail. You can pull the rope, or the line that is, from this point and drop those onto the ground, they'll unfurl almost immediately. So it's just a neat trick to keep things nice and tidy while you're underway. The beautiful arch on the X5 Plus is home to a lot of its solar arrays, and you can see they're actually designed right into the fiberglass itself. This open gap that was left underneath the boom is really perfect for Starlink, and if you weren't aware, Xquisite will install that and connect it into the whole ship-to-shore systems for you at the time of purchase. This is a view of the Bimini from on top of the helm, and as you can see, we rolled down the sides for this trip because we knew we'd be going through rain and some tough winds. We also ran into some really tall waves, and this helm station keeps you amazingly safe. Dry and very comfortable. On our way out, we stopped to grab some water and to top off the diesel tanks. The fun part of this was coming in, where I went to throw the dock worker a line and she threw me a line at the same time, and neither one of us was prepared to catch a line. There was a lot of laughing and then a lot of screaming and a lot of arms jumping out and grabbing these pylons so that we didn't hit the boat against the pier. That's yachting for you. Underway now, we started to clean up the deck, get everything organized, bring in the bumpers, deflate them, put them away, and just enjoy the absolute beauty that is Maryland. Well, seas like this can only mean one thing: no longer in a protected harbor, and now is the time to go ahead and start to raise the mainsail. So, pointed her into the wind, and a single person was able to raise the sail, prepare the boat, and get her underway. Once the mainsail was all the way up, we could pull her out of being nose into the wind and actually power up that sail, turn off the engines, then get ready to bring out the jib. The X5 Plus is outfitted with 3 forward sails. You have the code 0, the spinnaker, and then of course the jib. These can be changed and interchanged by a single person from the helm station whenever it's needed to change the sail profile. As you can see, we're off and running under sail and enjoying the hell out of finally not having the engines on. The X5 Plus is a cruising catamaran, and it just slices through these waves. As this is a delivery and not us owning the boat ourselves or doing a sea trial, we ran very conservative sail profiles. Here you can see we're doing 9.6 to 9.5 knots in 23 knots of apparent wind. Below deck, the instrumentation at the nav station is quite helpful, and as you've probably seen in other videos, the nav station faces forward, which is super helpful when you're on watch or just actually piloting the vessel.
The lighthouse over there it is. And then the code 0 is out. And it's just after 9 o'clock. My watch has started. So now here for several hours. And we had a cruise ship coming right up behind us at 19.5 knots. So we politely accepted their kind offer to get out of their way. And we moved. Or at least changed course slightly. So at that next turn, I will correct back and get us back onto the course that we want to be on. Nice and easy. Hopefully a nice quiet evening, which would be good. It's my first evening on watch for this trip. So I'm the lucky one. I get to go to bed at midnight and sleep at least until 6 in the morning. Almost like normal people. Tomorrow, my shifts start to push past.
I happen to really enjoy being on night watch, and one of the first things that you will do on any night watch is learning how to set the instrumentation and the courtesy lights so that everything is now in night mode. Most of this means dimming a lot of these controls. Some of them change to amber or colors that are easier on your eyes. And of course, the courtesy lights are generally going to be an amber or a reddish color around the boat, which allows you to maneuver around without jamming your feet too badly. I love this probably because I really love sci-fi, and this makes me feel like I'm in a sci-fi movie. Hi, welcome to Valkyrie Ranch, and I thought I would start putting some videos together to give you a bit of background about what it is that I do and kind of my passions, other than just the sailing elements that you're starting to see as I produce these early episodes for this channel. One of my great passions is actually conservation and rehabilitation of animals, specifically functionally extinct animals, or in other words, animals that have been marked extinct because they are no longer viable in the wild. And that is the actual classification of extinct. There may be a handful left, but mathematically speaking, there's no chance that they're going to continue the species. And I couldn't think of a better animal that I have here on the ranch to start that dialogue with than the Pierre David. You see, they have a wonderful history of very few individuals working to bring this animal back. And it starts all the way back with the Duke of Bedford, who collected the 18 deer that had been donated by the Emperor of China via Pierre David, meaning Father David, is a French monk. And the Duke of Bedford brought them to his abbey and began breeding them. And then he and his family, through World War I and World War II, went through all kinds of trials and tribulations to keep these deer alive during attacks and so forth that took place. And after a while, his family donated a small number of them back to China, where China has been working very hard with those, and then others that have been donated in the 1980s, again from that family, back to China. And then at some point in that history, and we're still unclear exactly when and how, some of those deer found their way to Texas, which is where Valkyrie Ranch is located. And Texans did what they do best and just started breeding the heck out of these animals. And this has all been done through private ownership and through private investment and passion in bringing these animals back. This is not institutionalized through most of its entire history. In fact, the 30 deer that live here on this property are all because of the work that I have individually done as well. And you're about to meet one of those 30. His name is Percy, and Percy is very special because he was injured at the ranch that he was born on, and he had injured his front leg, and he couldn't keep up with the herd because of it when he was very, very small. And that ranch owner reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in taking Percy on and seeing what I could do to rehabilitate him. So he was brought here, and there was a collective we at that time for sure, spent a lot of time bottle feeding him and working with him and building up his strength. And consequently, Percy has now imprinted very heavily on people. So he's kept away from the herd, not because the herd in and of itself would do anything to harm him. They actually like him quite a bit. They come and touch noses and hang out all the time over the fence. But more to the point, we're afraid that Percy might hurt a human being. You see, he believes he is a human being to a good extent. And every year when he grows his antlers back, he likes to try and socialize with them the same way that all deer socialize with their antlers. In other words, they try showing them to you, hitting you with them, wanting to spar with you, and so forth, which might be cute if he was like the size of like a dik-dik, which is a very small deer. But Pierre Davids are about the size of a horse. So that is a very dangerous prospect. And because of that, we keep him in that pen. And it's a very large pen. He has some friends in there. As you'll see, he even has an extra Pierre David who is now retired, who lives in there with him as well. So without further ado, here is Percy. And then this is Percy, who is a Pierre David's deer. And Percy was bottle fed, and basically he has completely imprinted on people, namely myself and a couple others here on the ranch, who he loves when he sees us, and he lets us hug him, and we get to give him lovies, and we get to get all over him, basically. But we have to keep him in here now because when he finishes growing his antlers every season, he enjoys showing them to people. And we're afraid he's going to hurt a visitor to the ranch. So he stays in here so that if he does show his antlers to people, he's showing them to us, and we know how to grab them and keep him from hurting us. This was a giant round bale of hay, and it looks like the donkeys and the two deer that live in here, one of which you just met, and then the other one, have decided to also turn it into a giant sleeping bin. And this is what a full-grown Pierre David looks like, whereas Percy that you just met is only 2 years old. This is Pascal, and Pascal is actually a wild deer, but he has decided that he likes people, and he walked in here through that gate all by himself and let us know that he was retiring from leading the herd, and this is where he wants to stay and be given 3 meals a day. Now, you may notice that their antlers currently look like this, and that's because they're regrowing, and they will come back in and be quite massive. Pascal's antlers will be not only thick, but they'll also extend for almost 4 feet and will reach almost the far portions of his back when they're fully in. And they're quite impressive. So right now, what you see are their velvet nubbies growing back in. And this is the principal animal that we do work with here on the ranch. And if you noticed the logo that's used for this channel, which is currently on my arm as well, you will see the antlers and the head silhouette profile of a Pierre David's deer, because that's how much I love them. Not right, Percy. That's right, Percival. Tell everybody. Don't kill off animals. Yeah, it's not good to be extinct. And that is Mr. Percival. Or Percy, as we call him.